What happened when they did find out?
We were sitting in the living room, I was reading my book, and then my mom came up to me and she was like, do you have anything to tell me? She had a cup of gasoline in her hands and like threw it in my face. I jumped up, and then my brother Ahmed, he jumped in front of me and he was like, Mom, I'm don't do this, blah, blah, blah. And she had a lighter in her hand, but to burn me alive.
My baby cousin Mo is the kid of Egyptian immigrants like me. We got a lot closer after he came out, especially after I found out how his parents reacted.
He left home that night, and I've been his only family since. My heart broke when I heard what happened. But the truth is, I read stories like Mo's all the time. Only they're usually in the form of ISIS propaganda like this, repackaged on alt-right websites. Random people send this to me as if to say all Muslims are killers. I want so badly to dismiss these headlines. I mean, it's obvious their purpose is to stoke anti-Muslim hatred. But I also know that they're not making it all up. Intolerance of homosexuality does happen, even here, and sometimes violently. And as a Muslim, I owe it to myself and to my cousin to confront it. My name is Aymann Ismail. To grow up Muslim means to grow up being feared. So I'm traveling the country to find out for myself if there's really any reason to be afraid of American Muslims. This house belongs to Jim Hoft, an alt-right blogger. He came out as gay right after the Pulse massacre and called for the LGBT community to, quote, come home to the Republican Party. This is where he runs the Gateway Pundit, where a lot of the most hateful articles I get sent come from. I didn't have high expectations that talking to him would help me figure out my feelings about Islam and homophobia, but his influence is steadily growing, and I figured the best place to start was with the perspective furthest from my own.
Whoa, what is this?
It looks like it's from a church, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's Saint Eurosia. The story is that she was going to be married off to a Muslim, and she fled and hid in a cave, and when they found her, they brought her back and beheaded her.
So that guy's a Muslim right there.
It looks like it, yeah.
And
I mean, obviously it does. I really like it, though. I mean, it's a pretty powerful piece, don't you think?
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool.
I always dismissed Hoft's website as fringe. But this year, the Trump administration granted it press credentials. His fear-mongering found its way into the White House. That's why I'm in St. Louis, pretending to be impressed by this statue of a Muslim man about to behead a Christian woman. But when we spoke, I was surprised by how familiar his story sounded.
I grew up in a Catholic environment, okay? If you have attractions to a same sex, it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. I wanted to be a good person. They teach you to be a good person. Probably like the same with, I assume, with Islam. Then at the same time, they're telling you that you're the worst thing ever, And that's how I internalized it.
I could see why Hoft would view religion, or any religion, skeptically. But he often posts pro-Christian stories. Why is Islam different?
I don't know what they're telling Muslims at the mosque. I have no idea. I don't know what it says in the Quran. But I certainly just see from the news propaganda that I read, they certainly aren't open to any degree to gays that I see.
He didn't seem to realize that he is one of the reasons that stories of tolerant Muslims go unnoticed. But the more we talked, the less it sounded like Islam was his problem.
I grew up in Iowa, okay? 98% white Caucasian. Certainly when you see the headscarves, I think many people would be dishonest if they said it didn't at least take them back. You're not used to seeing it.
So this is about preservation and not necessarily about threat, or?
That's great. It's different, obviously. It's much different. I'm being totally honest now, so I'm not sugarcoating it. I think people perceive it as a threat. But it's interesting because if I look at my family, my twin brother's married to a girl from China. My niece is married to an Indian. I'm seeing a Filipino right now. So So isn't it funny?
Yeah. Were you disappointed when those relationships were forming in your family?
Never, not once. Isn't that something? Because I trust my family. They're going to make a decent decision. So, yeah.
I spent an entire afternoon with someone who's supposed to think people like me want to kill people like him. Was I surprised that we got along? Sure. But in some ways, the things that he admitted that he didn't know just made his work on the Gateway Pundit feel more calculated and political. I doubted he really had the welfare of people like Mo or the victims in those awful videos in mind.
I don't have a lot of close contacts with Muslims here. But then I see people like you who I enjoy, who I can learn from, and I wonder what kind of pushback do you get in your community?
I do get pushback from other Muslims. My parents, like Mo's, won't even admit gay Muslims exist. But Hoft is using violence against gays to demonize an entire religion that he doesn't understand. This isn't about confronting Muslim homophobia. This is being anti-Muslim, anti-foreigner, period. That doesn't change the danger that LGBT people face in Muslim-majority countries, or here. So how do I reconcile that with the religion that I practice?
The Arab world's greatest taboos, homosexuality.
Watching this trailer in college was the first time I've ever heard of gay Muslims. Parvez Sharma is a well-known gay Muslim filmmaker. He documented his pilgrimage to Mecca, a place where his sexuality is punishable by death. And when we finally did meet, he was pretty blunt.
Within our lifetimes, that's you and me, we are not going to see Islam accept homosexuality.
Despite what Parvez has seen, he still doesn't think Islam, even a conservative Islam, is what gay Americans should be afraid of.
The only thing that binds Muslims together is the Quran. And the Quran is pretty much silent on homosexuality as we understand it today.
So what would you say to somebody who is gay and afraid here in America?
There's no flood of refugees coming into America with the agenda to kill homosexuals.
What about the Pulse massacre?
Well, he was raised in this country.
How do we know for sure that that's not going to
mind.
happen again if we keep bringing more Muslims into this country?
I don't understand. Why you
But that's the fear, isn't it? That we're bringing in all these Muslims who are homophobic.
My friend, it is okay in the Midwest and the entire red map of America to attack and kill homosexuals. Homophobia is not something that is going to arrive on America's shores on the backs of these refugees.
How do you reconcile your own personal identity?
I went on the Hajj. That's the ultimate stamp you can get as a Muslim. I have proven my Muslim credentials, and I challenge any imam to sit and debate with me, and I will say the same things.
What Parvez says feels right, that the danger to gay people will not come from outside our borders, but that homophobia is already an American fact. That doesn't make me feel any better about what almost happened to Mo. But when I talked to Mo, he sounded a lot like Parvez.
Do you feel like you have to worry about other Muslims finding out that you're gay?
There are moments I do, but lately I don't. I know who I am, and nothing is going to change that. So I'm not going to change who I am just to please someone else. In the end, with the faith, it's between me and Allah, not me and someone else.
Mo brought me to this party in Manhattan. It's a monthly gathering of gay Arabs and Muslims. It was pretty dope.
The Quran doesn't say much about homosexuality. Anti-gay violence isn't unique to Islam.
It's also true that it's not easy to be Muslim and gay. Muslims can't pretend that the Quran's silence on homosexuality or homophobia outside of Islam makes it okay. When Jim Hoft drums up paranoia about Muslims just to get clicks, he not only spreads misunderstanding, he makes Muslims want to defend their faith from any criticism. That doesn't help anyone. In the end, Mo is the one who's giving me hope for the future of Muslims in the West, especially gay Muslims. A new generation of American Muslims who aren't letting their faith be shaken by fear, even if they have every right to be afraid. An Islam where spirituality means more than tradition. At the party in New York, what struck me the most is how normal it all felt. I knew all of the songs. Mo felt at home there, and that made me feel like I was home too.
She said,